Midweek Extra. It's John Gibbons. Hope you've had a lovely week. Hope you enjoyed watching the Reds, even though they got beat last night. A few positive performances, and obviously it didn't matter too much, but we're going to go through in that. But of course, looking ahead to the massive game on Saturday, biggest game of the season so far, whatever it is you want to call it. We'll see what my room think. I have got Ali Gunn, I've got Abby Rudkin, and I've got Mike Kearney, and we are in association, of course, with Green King Sport. It is the last one with Green King, so I want to give a huge thanks to them and Trunk BBI, who we've been working with for the partnership. It's been over 18 months now, and it's been great, and they've been brilliant to work with. But things change, obviously, and things sort of move on, but no, they have been brilliant for us. But you can still obviously continue to get the fantastic deals from them, so we would encourage you to download the app, Green King Sports app. You'll still get 10% off drinks whenever there is live sports on the TV, which is a lot, let's face it, especially at the moment. Are you going out for the Super Bowl, Mike, or are you just going to watch it in yours?
I'll probably just stay in it, you know.
It
feels a bit mad to go out on that 11 kickoff.
I know, it's late. Yeah, you've got to
unless you've got like a proper group of mates where you're going to go out and just have a bevy for watching it, then. But no, it's tradition to watch it and then hit the bed at like 3, 4 in the morning. Yeah.
Cursing yourself. Kendrick Lamar halftime show.
I know, yeah. It's gonna be, I think it's Kendrick Lamar on Scissor as well, which is
he'll have mates.
Yeah.
He'll have mates. Yeah.
It's New Orleans as well, isn't it? Which is currently getting battered with snow and that. So I think it's a dome stadium, so that'll be sound for the game.
It's been in the wars, New Orleans. Let's face it. It's always something. But they have got the Super Bowl. So sort of there we are. So loads of different sports on at the moment. So download the Green King Sports app. Also, if you want to follow them on Green King Sports Instagram, I think we're going to be still doing a little bit there on there for them. So nice one to Green King Sports, and a nice one for everyone for supporting them and obviously checking us out today, because we are going to talk, Ali, I'll start with you, about last night. And they lose well, this Liverpool team. They lost one league game to Forest, but Arne Slot got about 3 months of learning out of it and bollocking players, and so maybe he didn't mind that one too much in the end. They lost the first leg of a League Cup semi-final, but we've still got them to come back to Anfield, and we're still confident. And then if you're going to lose a Champions League game, lose your 8th in an 8-game group when you've won the 7 before, and you're still top. They lose well.
Yeah, they do lose well, and do you know what? That's probably what you could say over the 3 games that we have lost, is we have learned something from it, and we've learned well. I think last night it was just really nice to see a lot of fringe players and a lot of youngsters just try and put their authority on their own career at Liverpool, and I thought that was really exciting to see. I think obviously the guys spoke last night about James McConnell, and I thought he was brilliant yesterday, sort of tenacious, and he put his weight around. And there was a few other performances, Chiesa, of course, as well, who looked really lively. I think obviously it's one of those where it was mooted as a bit of a sort of a pre-season friendly within a season. I don't think the manager would have taken it like that. I think he would have still liked us to put the performance in that we did, because the first half was impressive, and there are a lot of players that actually grew into the game. The second half, obviously due to the result at half-time, I think just faded away, and obviously with the lack of quality off the bench just due to age, I think it was a fair result. But yeah, I think it's set us up nicely. We've obviously rested a load of lads back at home, and obviously all eyes were going to be on Saturday as well, because as the manager said, it didn't really matter if we finished first or second. So I think he just enjoyed giving players an opportunity last night on an incredible stage, and a lot of players seem to have taken that. A few players divisive on their performances, but again, you take the rough with the smooth with that. But I think all eyes focus on Saturday now.
Yeah, the manager was clearly focused on Saturday, Abby, with the team he picked and the subs he made. He played Cody Gakpo as a bit of a favour, really, to him, but takes him off after 55 minutes. Andy Robertson comes off about 60, so you expect both those to play. And then after that, it's a very young team. And I think if we were going to win the game, we were probably going to win it in the first half. I think once we went in down, it was unlikely, on reflection, they were going to turn it around, because last 20 minutes or so, even before we went down to 10, it's a young side, and it's going to be hard for them. And the manager knows that. He's made the decisions knowing that that's the case, because Saturday is the priority.
Yeah, I think first 10, we come out quite feisty, to be honest. I was thinking if we're going to win this game, once we got the penalty, I thought, maybe if we're going to win this game, we're going to have to win it now in this first half, because he will make changes no matter what with Slot. You can imagine he's looking to Bournemouth being such a strong side in the league, and he's thinking, right, you're getting taken off no matter the state of this game, whether Barcelona are winning or not, which was very stressful to keep checking my phone. I don't know why I cared so much. It made no difference whether we finished first or second, and I kept checking my phone anytime Barcelona scored. I was like, oh, for crying out loud.
You can't help it.
I was getting so angry, and then obviously City started winning. And you get a bit distracted, don't you, when you know that the game didn't mean that much.
There was a lot going on.
There was a lot going on, a lot more than I was hoping to actually care about, to be honest. But yeah, I think it was a good game to sort of like single out, probably the wrong word to use, but it was a good opportunity to sort of look at some of those players that maybe we've had question marks about and be able to see whether they actually can play well and in a Champions League game especially. I don't think Jadon Danns is starting that game if Nunes doesn't pick up, I don't know, a cold, whatever sickness he's got. I think you probably see Nunes in that one. I was quite looking forward to Nunes getting a bit of a run out, get a few goals under his belt, but obviously things change, circumstances change, and Jadon Danns was just, it wasn't a statement performance, it wasn't amazing from him, but it was fine. Him and Endo were just getting thrown to the floor all the time, I thought. Love the fact that Endo still brings his gum shield absolutely everywhere he goes, because he just he absolutely loves battering everyone, doesn't he, which is brilliant. But yeah, I think it was one of those games where you're looking at the likes of Quansah and you're thinking, right, can you show us how good you actually are? And I don't think he did. I think on the post-match pint, I think you were saying about possibly putting him out on loan when I was listening to it. Was it? Yeah, I think you were. And I think that might be a good move for him, to be honest, if he could put him in a Champions League side, maybe. Championship side, flipping out, not a Champions League side after that. But yeah, just one of those games. And obviously, Gakpo says himself that he was given the option to stay at home, but he didn't want to because he wanted to go over there and sort of say hello to his past. So it was just one of those games. I wasn't really too bothered that we lost it, but I did want to finish top no matter what. So I was made up when Barcelona drew in the end.
You can't be too sort of down about the results at all, Mike. You've just got to look at individual performances. And, Gakpo, we don't need to learn anything about. He gets a penalty. And that's another sort of goal for him, which is nice. But he obviously just wanted to sort of to be there and go back to where he used to work, basically, which is always nice just to pop in. What's everyone saying? How the cleaners, that sort of thing. Josh still not get the bruise in. I don't know. I've lost my train of thought here. But for other individuals, it was a sort of slightly bigger night, and there was a couple of players who I felt like came out of it with a bit of credit. But what did you think?
Yeah, I was more bothered about seeing how we attacked and seeing if these players could sort of do what we want them to do when they get the chance in the first team. I think I think players done that. I think Chiesa was involved in both goals. There's one I think where he tries to pass early in the game, where he maybe, if he's a little bit sharper or a little bit more match practiced, would have just took it himself and had the shot, but he's tried to find a pass, and that game's perfect for that sort of thing. You need to get the ring rust off and let players have a go, and they definitely did, and the younger lads as well. McConnell, I think he's had games throughout his career at Liverpool where he's just been thrown in all of a sudden, and he's done really well pretty much every time he has. And last night probably felt more of an occasion to the likes of him and Danns, because several bit it may be in Europe because we're through. It's a European away tie for Liverpool Football Club, and they never are nothing to be celebrated about. Like if whether you're a full team player that plays game in, game out, or in the round the squads, that's something for them that they'll take huge amounts of experience from, even though the result didn't go the way we wanted. It's definitely a step up for them in terms of their progress and being trusted to do it, because there is a chance we could have finished second there, and all right, the result goes away against us and we're helped a little bit by Barca, but for a large part of that first half, we probably could have more goals than we end up with. It is a little bit end to end at times, but it's absolutely fine. You know what I mean? Chiesa runs himself into the ground. I think the minute he gets, I'm very much optimistic about what we've got. I do see Danns being a player long term for Liverpool. I think he wins a foul there yesterday, one of his many fouls that he got given. And just the movements and the speed of this thought of movement to have a defender off who plays in the Dutch league and every week, you know what I mean, at his age and stuff like that, it's impressive. So there's definitely small positives that we can take out of that from obviously individual players' points of views, but the way we go and get 2 goals and attacking patterns that we have sort of seen, and there'll be games down the line where you can drop Chiesa off the bench and maybe think instead of giving him 10-15 you can have half an hour of a trailing and be an extra attacker. You take a midfielder off and throw him on. It's it is encouraging to see that we've got that level of performance potentially off the bench where it could be huge.
Yeah, just on Dan's, Ali, Mike mentions there, his battling qualities, and he was in a battle, and that's his reality. It's not going to get any easier in the Premier League. In fact, it'll sort of probably get tougher, really. And I thought he dealt with it pretty well. He didn't quite grab the opportunity as much as I'd have liked him to. I was really excited when I saw him in the team, and it was interesting because, like Abby said, I don't think he would have played if Nunes would have been fit, but he's gone down with the illness, so Dan's come in. But quite often in history, a lot of things, have happened like that. I remember Marcus Rashford only getting a go at Man United because they had injuries, and then suddenly he scored, and so it seemed to me like it was almost written for him to get a big goal and to get a game, to play well and almost kind of force him way in. It wasn't quite that performance. It wasn't like the big eye-catching, forward performance that maybe he would have liked and some of us would like. But I still think there was plenty in there that showed, his talent. Like Mike says, his size and sort of how he can use it. It's just building that up now, really, which, is, I guess, to be expected for the player who's not just young, but has missed a decent chunk through injury as well.
Yeah, with Dan's, it's interesting. It's the same with a lot of the lads. I think last night was a really good education because, as Mike said, it's still a Champions League away day for Liverpool Football Club, and PSV are a serious outfit. They're still top of the Eredivisie.
They haven't been beaten at home in 40 years or something. I don't think it was quite that. It was a long time. It was 55 games, I think it was, all competitions.
It's impressive, and you're going up against Champions League centre-backs, and for Jayden Danns, when he's been in the Liverpool first team picture, he's had sort of phases and sort of little appearances off the bench, but his starts have really come against in the cup competitions, sort of the FA Cup and League Cup. And I agree. I think there was a bit of discourse on social media that he didn't play particularly well. It wasn't that. I thought he struggled to get into the game. Then he gained a level of confidence. And then you can only play as well as the players around you. And when all the other players are learning on the job as well and they're getting their education at the same time, I think he would have had a very different performance if he would have had us starting midfield behind him. And that was no disrespect to the midfield we put out, but I think he tried to impact the game as best he could because he is a very different forward than we have. He's a very much a traditional number 9, and he held the ball up very well yesterday. As Avi said, he got legged loads of times, and I think he would have come off frustrated, and he looked frustrated when he came off. However, I think he would have taken a lot from the game and realised, shit, that's the level we're at now. If you're starting for Liverpool Football Club in a Champions League game, it doesn't matter whether you're Real Madrid or PSV. That is the level that you are at. So I think he's going to have an impact, as you said. I think there's a lot to like about him, and maybe he didn't take as much of the opportunity last night as maybe we wanted him to, but I don't deem that as a bad thing for his sort of learning curve and his experience and his building blocks throughout the season, because I think he's still got a part to play off that bench, depending on if we get injuries, for example. So yeah, I'm positive about Dan's. I think he's in the same boat as players like McConnell, where they're still learning, they're still young, they're still growing. He's a big lad, he's growing into his frame, and he's learning to use it against seasoned professionals. And this can only be a good bounce and a good learning curve for him. So I'm excited about what he could offer.
Another one I saw get a bit of stick was Harvey Elliot, and I don't necessarily agree with that either, Abby. I think on another night he could have had a couple of goals and a couple of assists. And what I mean by that, he obviously gets the goal that he does get. It's good follow-up play. The penalty, he rattles it right in the corner, doesn't he? But obviously the referee's blown. And I understand that a few people have said, the referee should have sort of waited. But he's probably not really expecting. The ball's going away from the goal, isn't it? And Elliot just takes a touch and smashes it in. And so he's a bit unlucky there. There's one where he feeds in Chiesa and Chiesa miscontrols it. And then there's one late where Chiesa's just got to play him in, and he does well, Chiesa, for a while, but then he keeps going too long. Elliot's on his own. He's got really good opportunity to score, and Chiesa's a bit greedy, to be honest with you, in that moment, and that's in the second half when it's at 3-2. It was sort of one of the only sort of frustrating marks against Chiesa, but Elliot's in there, and so I'm looking at all them moments thinking like another night he could have 2 goals and an assist sort of quite easily, and then everyone's raving about him, and it's fine margins really for forward players.
Yeah, no, to be honest, I can't really understand why he's getting any abuse, to be honest. It wasn't the sort of game where I was expecting us to be absolutely battering anyone anyway. And to be honest, I was absolutely fuming at the ref when he blew the whistle and Harvey put it in the back of the net. I was like, why didn't you just let it carry on? I wasn't really bothered about Gakpo getting his penalty against the old side. I wanted Harvey to get his opportunity. And no, I thought he was fine. Honestly, I don't think there was any issue there. I think he's used to being around our first team, isn't he? I think that's a big thing for Harvey. I think he's used to being surrounded by more authoritative voices like Virgil. You know, if he's in the midfield, I think it's better if he's with like maybe the likes of Gravenberch, maybe, you know, have McAllister there, players like that around him that are a bit more authoritative. So maybe he just had a bit more free reign. He wasn't really getting told as much, you know, like you say, and great follow-up play to get that goal in for him. I can't understand him getting any criticism. He's a player I've been really, really wanting to see more. Like, I know it's been said 10 million times, but Klopp said he's the player that he wished he'd have played more. So the fact that Slot hasn't really done that after he had a really good pre-season, obviously he picks up the injury, but it was a bit of a surprise to me. So now he's getting game time, and I know this is a game that didn't really matter, but you're playing in the Champions League for Liverpool, and you know what that means for Harvey Elliot. He's a boyhood red, you know, and the engine on the lad. Like, he will literally never, ever stop. He will chase down any balls. You know, he's unbelievable. And even his vision sometimes with passing, him and McConnell were absolutely great sometimes, I thought, in that midfield. I mean, you can't beat the likes of McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai in that midfield. It's very hard to compete against those types of players. So it is going to be difficult for him to get in. But I also think when he moves onto that right side, that's his favourite position. But when you're coming up against Mo Salah, it's unlikely that you're ever going to get time to play there. So, you know, he is unfortunate that he's playing to compete against world-class players in our team. So it's just one of those things, isn't it? I think it's on another night he gets 4. You know, it's one of those. On another night he does all right.
Abby mentioned McConnell there. I thought he was great, and I really like him. And, you know, I mentioned him, remember, after Accrington game, you know, when he sort of come on, for me, he's a bit. I think he's ahead of Morton in terms of for his age. Obviously, Morton's a little bit older and more experienced, but I remember saying to that, I think McConnell's got the highest ceiling, and so I wasn't too surprised to see him start ahead of Morton because, you know, it feels like the manager on this is sort of, you know, aligned with me, really thinking like, you know, actually this guy, he's obviously, you know, manager want to see more of him. He's obviously really impressed in training, but I think he's looking at McConnell and going, actually, you know, Morton's looks like he's obviously going to be a really good footballer and going to have a really good career, but McConnell, I think, is a potential Liverpool midfielder. And so I wasn't too surprised to see him come in. I didn't think he'd play as well as he did. Do you know what I mean? Because it's hard. It's, you know, like for all the reasons we said before, for all the caveats with Jayden Danns, McConnell's got those as well. But I thought he was brilliant, and it was interesting. The manager talking after the game saying we were thinking about loaning him out, but there's no chance now because he's impressed him that much, and it was great to see him sort of grab that opportunity and show all the maturity that he did on the pitch.
Yeah, I think that it's probably a thing of. We don't see the development, do we? That they do, because all of his development so far pretty much has been in and around training with that squad, going away and playing a game with the under 80, the 21s, playing in their European competition. You know, coming off the bench, getting started against Accrington. He came on against Chelsea, didn't he, in the League Cup final?
He was in that game. Yeah,
and I think it's the 85th minute where he's Gakpo and McAllister are going off, and McConnell, and I think Dan's are coming on.
His numbers for that game are like just ridiculous. Like, he just doesn't give the ball away.
So he's had sporadic sort of appearances, but obviously constant growth and improvement in training. In the meantime, that we're seeing the sporadic. Oh, there's McConnell again. Oh yeah, isn't he improving very well? That's brilliant for us to see. And then he's going back in training 2-3 months. It must be imagine playing against the Gravenberch, Szoboszlai and McAllister midfield in training. Like, all right, we're doing shape work and we're not going 100 mile an hour in flying into tackles, but insane. He must walk off that pitch sometimes thinking, that these are good, you know, and I've got to be half as good as these three, or twice as good as these to even get half a chance as these are getting. And it seems like he's applying himself in that way. And, you know, the manager's saying that now, I want him in this squad now, going forward the rest of the season, isn't just to make the numbers up or to be good in training. It's to be called upon if and when needed, that you're at this level and I think you're good enough to be at. And, you know, it's Endo and Elliot next to him. And sometimes I think when we're playing Elliot in midfield, people may sort of say, "Oh, you don't really want to play him with McAllister because it's maybe a little bit too small. You need two bigger lads around him." You know, McConnell, you maybe just drop in and go, "Oh, we've got Forest away," and we haven't. But imagine in a make-up scenario, we've got some team who you expect to beat, or like even at home. Oh, this could be a bit of a tricky one, but like, we've got a Champions League game in the week after, where we've got like a narrow lead or a deficit to overturn. Can we throw him in? I think the manager will. It's mad how the developments are, and to use Morton and McConnell again, I think Morton's probably developed more than what McConnell would have done on loan, if that makes any sense. I think if it's sort of different strokes for different folks, and Trent's got his chance and never went on loan. Elliot goes on loan to Blackburn, and it develops him as a player and a man into like coming into the man's game from the under-18s. And sometimes it's different for different players. And I don't see the McConnell ever goes on loan, if you get me. I think he'll just step up and take his chance like we always want these academy players to do. And if he gets enough of a chance, like whether that's either through injury next, like pre-season, or like suspension in this season, I think he will take it.
Yeah, he looks ready to take it. He did an interview after the game as well, and talked about the manager's faith and wanted to sort of repay it. He looked like a man who's not necessarily had the assurances from the manager, but he looks like he's aware he's got the confidence of the manager, and he played like it as well. I agree with Mike in that there's potentially minutes coming up for him. He'll have his eye on that Plymouth game, for example, and going, well, you can start me on that, and I'll show you again what I can do, and then we'll have to see, how the season develops. But if we get through against Plymouth, which we're obviously all expecting and hoping we do, then there's a fifth round. Who knows who will get in that? If you get another Championship side, is he able to sort of start that one? And there's big games coming up. So whether that's giving Ryan Gravenberch a rest in a certain game if you're doing well, or just sort of looking at it, he is wanting to manage the minutes of these midfielders, and he's always been looking. You fancy the manager for someone to sort of step up and give him the chance to do that, and McConnell might be his guy.
Yeah, and that's, do you know what, when you were talking then, I was thinking the problem is when I look at someone like James McConnell, I want him to get minutes in the Cup, because I absolutely don't want him to get minutes in the Premier League, because I want all the other players playing. Yeah. And I mean that as no disrespect to James McConnell, but I want our lads to stay fit for the rest of the season, which then invariably means he won't get any. So I really hope that, touch wood, those lads stay fit, but he gets an opportunity to impress in the Cup competitions again, because as you said, the manager has been sort of looking around the squad for how he can balance minutes, especially for Gravenberch, and especially sort of McAllister's can be susceptible sometimes to fatigue. I think with McConnell, it is just about now but sort of taking patience from it, and he's done a good performance, and now he may not play until the Plymouth game, so it's a case of, right, bide your time, go again, go into the Plymouth game, and every time that he keeps putting in performances, take pride in that and know that opportunities will come, and it may not come for 6 weeks to 2 months, but you're doing enough for this club when you are playing that the manager said last night he's going to have a chat with Richard Hughes and say, yeah, probably not, lad. You're going to stay, because we could do with someone like you as someone just a bit different. Now, there's arguments to say that we go into the summer and we sign another midfielder and the James McConnell conversation comes up again, and he probably heads out on loan. But I think for the moment, I think he'll take real pride and he'll take some real confidence into what he offered last night. And it's always difficult, because you want to promote. I don't want to turn it into the gutter show, but you want to promote talent as best you can into this football club, and he looks like someone who could do that and can make a statement and be around the squad for a number of years. But you also think it is long term. How would that work? We're always vying for new signings. We always think that we could do with another midfielder, whether that's someone to sort of support Gravenberch in a six, or whether that's someone in the midfield to sort of offer something different. So I think he can do no harm to his chances by playing, whenever he plays, playing the best he can. And as the manager said in training, he's putting in performances in training against these midfielders that is making him go, do you know what, actually, I really like the look of you. So between now and the end of the season, if you're James McConnell, just keep your head down and keep going, and you never know where it may take you.
Yeah, absolutely. Any other business on this before we move on to the biggest game of the season so far? Should we do that? Okay, we're going to look ahead to Bournemouth in the room, but before all that, we've got Sam from Back of the Net to give us the Bournemouth view. And I am now with Sam from Back of the Net. And Sam, before we talk about Liverpool's game against Bournemouth this weekend, we do have to reflect on last week. What a magnificent win. You know, you've had a few this season. We had you on the Anfield Wrap a couple of weeks ago, and you were talking about, you know, what you said might have been Bournemouth's sort of biggest win since being in the Premier League. I mean, this is one of those where you'll have to remind people in a few years probably just how good Forest were at that point. You know, sometimes you have this win. Like, that Forest team was a great team, but I don't think anyone was expecting 5-0. I think I had a score draw in my sort of predictor thing that we all do, but I mean, 5-0 was something else.
Yeah, absolutely superb. And as fans, I think we're being greeted with these surprise results with metronomic regularity. But the thing is, it's happening so often that are they a surprise anymore? I'm not sure, because Andoni Iraola, he's got this team playing really, really well. Each and every player knows exactly what they got to do, and they're performing under a lot of pressure with plenty of injuries in the squad, but he's getting every last drop out of each player, and it's seemingly coming together. And yeah, we've had some really good results. The Newcastle one, of course, as I spoke to you about, was astounding, but it wasn't just a cheeky 1-0 over Forest or a 2-0, it was 5. So yeah, we were absolutely delighted with that, to say the least.
Everyone's found it hard to create chances against Forest. We were the same. Playing against them, you end up, you know, having to take pop shots from distance and things like that. How did Bournemouth manage to break through that defence, which has just been so solid all season and so tough and so hard to create against?
We took a look on our preview on Back of the Net. We took a look at their average positions when they play certain teams. So when they played Wolves away, they won 3-0, but most of their players were deep inside their own half because they're quick on their counter attack. So in our eyes, I think it was important to start as fast as we could, and that first goal was absolutely crucial, because if we get it, that means they got to come out and do something that they're probably quite uncomfortable with. So to score after 8 minutes was absolutely superb for us. I think what Andoni Iraola usually does, he likes to leave impact players on the bench and bring them on later on. I think we've got one of the best records in the Premier League for substitute scoring, or coming on and maybe getting an assist, but also scoring late as well. But we haven't got that luxury at the moment with having the play group on the bench. Basically, we've just got kids and maybe one senior player if we can. I think Tavernier was back last time, so we haven't really got that luxury of having the impactful players. So I think his message to the players was start hard and start fast, and that's exactly what we did. Thankfully, we scored early, and then it made Forest's plan from that point very, very difficult. So we managed to pick them off after that.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, that they had to sort of maybe change their game plan, and you guys took full advantage. So what's the game plan against Liverpool then? How do you think you're set up? Is it the manager only knows one way? Is it the Bournemouth way, or does he make subtle changes depending on who you're playing?
It's so difficult to know what he's going to do, because he likes to deploy what he calls this kind of organised chaos. So anything could happen with him. At the moment, we're playing with a winger as a striker in Dango Ouattara. Lewis Cook's our right back at the moment, and he's shown himself possibly to be one of the best right backs of the club because he's been superb in that position. But who knows what's going to happen? But I think clinicality, if that's a word, is absolutely crucial, because against Forest we had 16 shots and we converted 5 of them. I think we registered 19 shots when we went to Anfield, and obviously we lost there quite convincingly, but we just weren't that great in front of goal. So I think taking our chances is absolutely key, but I don't think he'll do anything much different. He'll play the way that we can play. There's no point in doing something that we're alien with. I think we've got to play to our strengths and make Liverpool worry. Look, I think the technical quality of Liverpool will probably mean that they'll probably win this game, but we've got to do what we can do, and that's probably our best chance of getting a result.
Yeah, absolutely. And the confidence will be there, won't it? And the atmosphere will be fantastic, because I don't want to use the cliche free hits, but given the results have been so great with all those injuries that you mentioned, you know, you must be turning up on Saturday thinking, yeah, we can have a good go at Liverpool, and yeah, we can get something, but if we don't, then we go on to next week with a lot of points in our back pocket.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the moment, it's just the work rate and the energy that we're showing, the telepathy, the rehearsed routines, players moving at the same time, the overlaps, the underlaps, the shared knowledge of when to go, when to press at the right time. And I think we've got one of the best stats for pressing high, winning the ball back, and it turning into something meaningful, i.e. shot creating action. But whilst at the same time, we've remained defensively resolute. So in some ways we do see it as a free hit, but what we're liking as little old Bournemouth is to be spoken in the same sentence as massive, huge clubs like Liverpool, of course, but being treated on a par. It's not. It hasn't got the vibe of the Galacticos coming out into town, whereas usually it would. So. I think we're going to be competitive in this, and I think this season we've probably made the Premier League, sit up a little bit and actually take notice of what we're doing. We're under no illusions that we are playing the best team in the Premier League that are probably going to win the league. We know that, so there will be a little bit more respect shown. But why can't we give you a game?
I mean, let me tell you, there's plenty of respect in Liverpool at the moment. We've been talking about this game for a couple of weeks. We've had our eye on it, and you can see the respect from Arne Slot last night. How many players he rested, and I'm sure Bournemouth fans would have preferred to see Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk running around in Holland. Maybe picking up a couple of niggles or something. Not too serious, just to keep them out on Saturday. But I guess that shows the respect that the manager's got for you guys as well.
Yeah. Absolutely, I think it's nice to. I mean, we were obviously taking a look at the team that Arne Slot was putting out, and in some ways we weren't surprised really with qualification in the Champions League. Pretty much okay. I mean, well, yeah, absolutely. It's just a case of whether you were going to finish first or second. I think you dabbled with second last night, but top of the tree in Europe, superb. But I think Premier League is the real deal, and how good would that be? For Arne Slot to, in his first season, to be winning. I thought it might be a season of transition, but what he's done there has been absolutely incredible. But we've got two teams that are coming together in really good form, some of the best form in the Premier League. Liverpool, up there first. Bournemouth's in the last 10, I think we're third. And Andoni Iraola, he could be using the injury crisis as an excuse, like some managers in North London that play in white. I think in his recent interview, he's come out and said we need help, but Andoni's not done that. He's just wanting to get all the players that he has got available to him up to the level, and he's done that. So he hasn't complained, which is good. I think part of the reason why he hasn't complained is that we are under no illusions that we need a striker, and by us talking up in the media, it's probably going to inflate the prices for anyone that is considering loaning or possibly letting their striker go to us. So at the moment it's the situation's being managed perfectly, and if players just start to come back into contention, then we've got an exciting season ahead. But this weekend's going to be a really, really good game, I think.
Can I ask you about the goalkeeper? I asked you about a few of the star players last time, but Kepa's an interesting one to me. He goes to Chelsea for a huge amount of money. It doesn't quite work out for him. Listen, there's plenty of players who've gone to Chelsea and it's not worked out for them, and they've gone on to have very good careers. We'll have one play called Mo Salah, who's one to look out for. So there's plenty of those, but he seems to be really enjoying himself, enjoying his football again at Bournemouth, and the manager seems to be obviously working with him well. And tell me a little bit more about how he's done, because from the outside it looks like he's settled back in and shown what a good goalkeeper he is again.
Yeah, it's really interesting when we signed him, because Chelsea fans weren't exactly glowing about him, saying he had a mistake in his tank, which most sort of goalkeepers might every so often. But he's done really well, and Andoni Iraola, I think, has taken the pressure off him somewhat. But we had Neto in goal previously, who made many an error, even in the Champions League for Arsenal the other night. He was outside of his box, like silly goal to concede. But Kepa coming in, obviously huge price tag, and when you've got I think the most expensive goalkeeper in world football playing for Bournemouth, albeit on loan, but he does seem to be enjoying himself. But I think the reason that it's all going so well is that we've got a really good spine of the team. So each and every section of, I mean, apart from up front at the moment, but even when we're playing our right winger, he scores a hat-trick, so it's fine. But the defence in front of him, I think, has taken a lot of pressure off him. I mean, Milos Kerkez, a lot of Premier League fans are raving about him. And then the two centre-backs in Dean Howson and Ilya Zabani, I think it does take a lot of pressure off him. All those players are really comfortable with the ball at their feet. He's a ball-playing goalkeeper. He's come up with some really big saves for us. But I think for him, it's just enjoyable to be playing in a team that are doing so well. The manager trusts him, and he seems to be thriving. I've got nothing but praise for him so far, and I would love to be able to keep him come next season. But that'll be up to the club and Chelsea to work out between them.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously there's a few players, both permanent and loan, that the sort of Bournemouth would love to keep. But listen, it's such a great atmosphere at the moment that the manager is doing such great stuff that I think, is the kind of place that players will want to stay. And if they do go, the club have shown they can attract new ones and they know what they're doing. So generally, just to finish off, Sam, the people who are going down to Bournemouth, it's only the small away end down there, so not as many tickets as sometimes we'd like. But for those who go, they're going to go into a positive stadium, fans who are enjoying the football, players who are enjoying the football, and yeah, just I guess a happy place to watch football at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. If any Liverpool fans that are seeing this and haven't been before, you'll be closer to the pitch than you can ever imagine. You can practically reach out and touch them, and it is a great place. But you know what? It creates an atmosphere as well. And look, we've got plans to eventually relocate. We certainly need to, because we're the butt of many Premier League fans' jokes with our 11,500 seat stadium. A brand new training grounds being built at the moment, nearly complete, which is going to be one of the jewels in the crown in the Premier League. So I can't wait for that. But the ground that is on at the moment, that's right next to the stadium, and we need to use that for a potential new stadium. So at the moment, whilst we've got it, we're using it to our advantage, I think, having the small stadium and sort of building that siege mentality that's built through the fabric of the club with adversity, points deductions, administrations, you name it, the bailiffs coming in. Now, it's a sort of different kind of siege mentality where we've all got to pull together and try to achieve things that, who knows, even Europe could be on the cards this season. If it is, that would be a massive coup for this little small seaside club.
Well, I won't be there on Saturday, but I was there back in 2016 for Bournemouth 4, Liverpool 3, so I do know how that ground can turn. I do know how we can go from this is nice to actually this is very, very difficult to play in, which is what Liverpool found it, like you said, with the fans close to the pitch and everything going on. Sam, huge thanks to you for joining us. This is obviously the kind of thing that we do a lot on the Anfield Wrap on our subscription service. You'll be getting Sam today for free, so do check out everything that they're doing on Back of the Net. I'm sure they'll have Liverpool previews there as well going on if you want more from the Bournemouth side. But Sam, thanks a lot, and back to the main show. Okay, thanks a lot to Sam for previewing that from the Bournemouth point of view, but obviously we're mostly interested in Liverpool. We're back in the room. I'm still with Mike, still with Abby, and still with Ali. And as our South Coast correspondent, Ali, have you been watching? Have you watching them closely for us? Popping down to training, who was your man at Leeds spying? Bielsa. Have you ever heard any boys spying over to see what they're up to? They're quite good.
They are very good. They are really, really impressive. And they just, obviously a couple of weeks ago when they said their strikers were going to be out for the season, you're thinking, is this going to sort of potentially derail? Who could they get in? And they've just ignored the fact that they don't need strikers. And people like Justin Clive have appeared. And I've always really liked Iriola. I thought he's a really impressive manager. I think the team just has this really nice balance, and I think the biggest compliment I can pay to Bournemouth is you always enjoy watching them, but you always know they're in a game, no matter who they're with. And years ago, you would never say that, and that's also a compliment to the standard of the Premier League at the moment. I think they are peaking at a time where, for a club like Bournemouth, who are commonly more mid-table than any other sort of position in the league, that a lot of their players are now peaking at the same time. So Kluivert's doing particularly well. Semenyo's doing really well. The lad the other day scoring a hat-trick. They're just all starting to peak. Tyler Adams seems to have gone there and returned to form that he just lost at Leeds or couldn't find at Leeds. So I had a look on the way into town then as well. They're unbeaten since the 23rd of November.
Wow.
And that is, for any team, let alone Bournemouth, but for any team, that is an astounding record at this point in the season, including the Christmas run. So I think this weekend I'm absolutely gobsmacked. It's a 3:00 Saturday kickoff for one, but I think it's going to be a really interesting fixture. But after obviously the game last night and the players that we've rested, I think the manager would never ever admit that he's had one eye on this game, because it's always about the next game. But I think he's had one eye on this game as soon as Ipswich was done at the weekend. And I think that part of the reason why is he knew he could afford to rest his players yesterday. So I think all eyes are going to be on how to sort of nullify Bournemouth's threat going forward. I mean, not limiting to our threat going forward, but they just seem to be in this free flowing clear state of understanding their roles and understanding how they're going to get victories, and that is a credit to the manager and it's a credit to their players.
And the players are good, and that's the thing, Mike. And although that sounds obvious, sometimes when you get a team who overperform in the league, it's the blend that works well, or they've got a good manager, or they've got a very defined way of playing, and you think, well, you take individuals out and they're not necessarily, brilliant, but together they're a good team. But individually, I think they're excellent. So obviously, the left backs being highly linked with Liverpool at the moment. I think that centre half that they got from Juventus is unbelievable, and I can't believe they let him go, and the Bournemouth did so well to get him. You've got Semenyo, who's been linked with the move, including to Liverpool as well. Like Ali says, Kluivert sort of banging them in at the moment, and there's quality across the pitch in key areas for them, and that's why they're doing so well.
Yes, as Ali mentioned, Evan Nielsen, the striker, he signed out with a metatarsal injury for a long while. We were rubbing your hands together, weren't you, thinking, well, that's perfect, it's fallen for us, perfect, that way of playing them. And they scored 9 goals in 2 games against Forest and Newcastle, which is no mean feat. Not many teams doing that back-to-back weeks. I think one of the most impressive things for me when I was watching that Newcastle game was the way they were. It almost felt like off the ball, they were putting Newcastle in this mad cage, and you're thinking, well, they're just going to play it through you, mate. And you've got 7 players around, 4 of theirs, and they're in if they get through you. And never once did I feel like that, well, Bournemouth will win this game. Bournemouth will win this game. No matter how much, I just thought, well, Newcastle just turn it on, and they'll turn you round, and the fast players out wide, Gordon, etc., ball over the top for Isak. Didn't happen because they're so well drilled. It was just the fact that we're doing this, and you might have that opportunity to beat us, but then you've got to be so good to beat us that if you're even a half inch off with your ball or with your touch, we'll just nick it off you, and you won't get it back for a while. And we'll play like a mad triangle around you and just flick one in behind, and there's Justin Kluivert again, scoring more goals at St James's Park than his dad ever did. I bet he was amazed with that when he got home.
Yeah, there's not many things he's done that his dad has, and so it's probably a rare one, but he's like, stick your European Cup medal, lad, get on this.
But it is that sort of like the braveness of the manager to say, he loses his first 8 games, doesn't he? And they hold and hold and hold and believe that they've made the right decision. And it's slowly developed into this team now that are not very nice to play. Injuries happening, but still throwing players in that they've just signed. A bit like Brighton of a couple of years ago, where they signed Matoma from absolutely nowhere, and he's banging goals in. Everyone goes, where'd you get him from? It's like they've got Justin Kluivert, obviously from Roma. Semenyo is a great sign. I think he was from the French league, if I'm not mistaken. And it's just this weird blend of players coming together, that have maybe not done as well elsewhere. But as Ali mentioned, Tyler Adams, his level at Leeds never quite hit there. But there's obviously a player in these players at some point, and it's all coming together really well. And it's a sign of a good coach where you can get a bunch of players like that together and really develop. And look, the manager may not be at Bournemouth for the rest of his life, and if another Premier League side wants to be a serious contender, you probably suggest Spurs, our League Cup opponents, might want to have a look at him long term if they want to make a decision. And it's all credit to the way the environment he's developed at that club. It's not the biggest club in the world. It's only got 11,000 seats. But I bet you they're full every week wanting to watch this team play football at the minute.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And like Sam said before, they're obviously looking to redevelop that and looking to use the money that they've got from staying in the Premier League and maybe a European one, who knows, to sort of, to get that a little bit bigger and get that more in. But before all that, Abby, I'm just hoping that that all the shots went in last week, because sometimes that can happen. Sam was saying there, they had a normal amount. I think they had more shots at Anfield against us when they got beat 3-0 than they had last week against Forest. It was just sort of one of those days where everything went in for them, and I'm just hoping that they've used all the, not luck, but we've had it before. I remember games where we've, I think, was it United where we won 7-0, and then the week after we went to Bournemouth actually, and so they got beat. So it happens sometimes. So I'm just hoping for a bit of football history repeating itself there.
Yeah, sometimes you are just lucky, but then at the same time, the fact that they've you've done it time and time again the last couple of weeks. You've obviously been able to nullify the likes of Isak, like Mike's just said, and then against Forest, the likes of Gibbs White and players like that are really good at scoring goals, and they've been able to nullify that, which is not what you really want to see when you've got Mohamed Salah and that on the pitch. He needs to be able to do something there. I think in terms of Bournemouth, obviously it's goals galore at the minute. Like we've said, I'm expecting to see Semenyo on the goal sheet a bit more, to be honest. Yeah, I go to look at it and I'm like, right, okay, so that, what's his name? The lad up front, yeah. I'm expecting to, when I seen it was 5-0 and it's not that many as Semenyo like I was expecting, and then Clive as well has been able to step forward, and even Kirkes, the left back that I really just want to see in a Liverpool shirt, to be honest. If Liverpool are listening right now, please go.
They always are.
Because they're always listening to the Anfield Wrap. Yeah, if you're listening to the Midweek Extra right now, if you can go and get Kirkes off them. I think in terms of where we can be a threat, I think their right back, I think it's Cook, is probably not as good as the other side.
So Cook's doing well there. I was just speaking to Sam about that, funnily enough, and he was like, he's doing really well there, but he's not a right back. And this is where I feel, Abby, that we might be able to exploit their injuries a little bit more than some other teams have, because listen, they've done really well to cope with their injuries and they've not moaned about it, and they've just sort of got on with it, but they are a little bit sort of patched up. And I think Liverpool are obviously a team with the quality that can make it look a little bit like that. So Cook, if he's not a right back, he's going up against you'd assume Cody Gakpo, who's sort of flying. Diaz is flying around him as well. Kirkes looks a really good player, but what's he like defending? I don't know. He's good on the ball, but what's he like, going the other way? Well, Mo Salah is going to find out. And so little things like that is where you start to think. And up front as well, the lad's doing really well, but he's a winger. He's trying his best, and like Mike says, they're out. And so can he get a bit lost when he's trying to, compete in that position against Virgil? That's what I'm hoping for, because it is the biggest test, because we're top.
Yeah, the team for them is looking a little bit makeshift, but it's not showing any signs of letting up. It's not showing those issues really. I do think if you go down that right side, I think with Cook there, I do think that's where we can capitalise on that. I think with the likes of Cody Gakpo, obviously, I think he got 60 minutes last night. I think getting those minutes in his legs and then being able to go up against Bournemouth, I think that'll be great, getting a goal, stuff like that. It's confidence with Gakpo, and he's looking absolutely unbelievable at the minute. What a player. He's finally showing us what we've seen for the Netherlands all this time. You've been waiting for that player to show up, and he has. And then obviously if we put Diaz through the middle, Diaz does tend to float to that left side a little bit, that maybe we can capitalise on that. I mean, like you've said, Kirkes looks great going forward. He just looks like a Liverpool player to me, to be bombing down that left side, but you just never know really. Maybe Mo Salah will be his kryptonite. Maybe Mo Salah will be able to expose his weaknesses, make us look like we don't actually want him as a player. We'll go, shite, actually.
We'll just know he's got work to do.
So that's where we need to improve really. Mo, you get with him in training and we'll have a look.
Mo get with him and Adam every day and he'll be fine. I should point out there's no pre-match warm-up this week, because we knew we'd end up so focusing on this show, by the way. So I just wanted to say, if anyone's sort of waiting around for that, we just knew we would be so Bournemouth heavy on this show that there wasn't necessarily a need for it. But what Ian Ryan would do at this point is A, have bigger arms than me, and B, say pick me a team. But the team more or less picks itself, doesn't it? You'd have thought, because based on a couple of injuries, based on who sort of misses out, based on Darwin having the flu or whatever he's got, you're looking at it and thinking, well, I'll pick a team now, and feel free to buzz in if you think I'm wrong, with the big family fortune style. But hopefully I won't hear that. So you'd imagine Alisson in goal. Andy Robertson comes off last night. Chibika stays on, so I'm going Robbo, I'm going Canate, I'm going Virgil, I'm going Trent, I'm going Gravenberg, I'm going McAllister, I'm going Szoboszlai, because none of them played, and then it's Diaz, Gakpo and Salah. It's hard to imagine anything else, isn't it? I did not hear your family fortune style, unfortunately.
No, I think that's right. Yeah, basically 10 of them stayed at home.
Feel free to just do that for any, and I say wrong, by the way, in the future. Join in. It's a game we can all play. Go on, sorry, Mike.
10 of them that you've just said there stayed at home, didn't he? 9, because Gakpo and Robertson both played. and stayed at home, probably, nice little green tea on the go, watching the match, feet up, recovering after training, all sorts of just comfortableness for them on a Wednesday night. And then Gakpo obviously gets a goal in 60 minutes or so, and Robertson, I thought was, he's been in and out, hasn't he, a little bit over the last couple of weeks and months, and he's probably been fighting to try and arrest that sort of slide, and I think he has looked a bit better the last couple of weeks, and he'll definitely want to capitalise on that. That was the only question mark for me, and then seeing the fact that Kostas gets the 90 minutes and it's Wednesday, Saturday, 3 p.m. sort of thing, I think you're right with the team, spot on.
Yeah, it's spot on. It's hard to imagine anything different, isn't it, Abby?
Yeah, I don't think we'll see anything different, to be honest. I think seeing Robertson play at centre-back last night, I was thinking that looks a little bit uncomfortable, and I think that probably didn't help Quanta in the way he was playing. He's used to the likes of Van Dijk being next to him and carrying him through. I mean, it wasn't Robbo's speciality, let's just say that, but he comes off on 60, I think around 60, and I think that was the sign. I thought to myself, whoever comes off here, Kostas or Robbo, they're going to play, basically. I mean, I'm a Joe Gomez mega fan. When I look at the team and the fact that he's back fit now, I don't think you throw him straight back in, but I think we're all moaning about that left-back position at the minute, and like Mike's just said, Robertson has improved, and, Kostas is probably playing slightly better than Robbo at the minute, but that's the position, if you look at our starting 11, where we're struggling the most. I think if you could change anything out in that starting 11, it's got to be the left-back position, and I do prefer Joe Gomez at centre-back, and obviously right back positions more is, that's what he's comfortable with. But when you've seen Joe Gomez at left back, I have loved him there at times. I thought he's played really well there, and I think that's good cover for that position. And I think if Robbo does start to get a little bit leggy later on, maybe because Kostas has done the 90, you could throw Gomez on after about maybe about half an hour to go, maybe throw him in at left back or maybe even centre back. But like Mike's just said, they've all had such a long rest that most of them should be able to do the 90 there, to be fair.
Yeah, and that rest, I think, will help them. Listen, there's two schools of thought, isn't there, Ali? This idea of, keeping players in rhythm and, between sort of wrapping them up in cotton wool. And I can see the benefits to both, really. But all these players we've just talked about have had a lot of football this season. I don't think there's many who've had too much necessarily. Do you know what I mean? I think that Slot has generally managed them well, and they've looked fresh, and the fact that we're finishing games so strongly, like winning games late at Brentford and stuff like that. Obviously, winning games off the bench as well, but shows that they're in good nick. But I think this was a really good week because it's not just the pitch time, it's the travel. Do you know what I mean? I love seeing Mo Salah in his gym at home on Instagram and stuff like that. He's just letting everyone know.
Sauna looks boss, doesn't
Yeah, he's just letting everyone know I'm just doing a little bit. You know what I mean? And he's not one of them blaggers. You know what I mean? Who just take a picture in the gym and then go. He's doing the work, because that's how he looks. Know my own tricks well there. But yeah, with how he looks, he's sort of he is doing it. But whether they've been in the gym at home or just sort of relaxing with family, putting their feet up, I think it was a good week to do that ahead of this, because there won't be necessarily loads of chances to do that. So I think the manager was completely right, and I'm hoping and actually thinking that we'll see the benefits of it on Saturday.
Yeah, I think that because Bournemouth have now decided to pose a completely different threat to maybe when this fixture was put into the calendar at the start of the season, and even pre-Christmas, I think he's fully understood the threat that they offer and the position that now we're in across the cup competitions. So I think actually it's come at a perfect time. As you said, the manager prioritises rhythm over probably maybe just behind losing to Nottingham Forest at the start of the season in his level of frustration. But I think this is now come at the right time. As I said, they would have trained yesterday. I imagine they would still be being active. I don't think they'd have had the day off, but I think he's wrapped who he needed to wrap in cotton wool up. I think he's also he's taken it as the twofold opportunity to see other players in other sort of lads' positions. For example, like Chiesa playing on the right and the left, just to see what he's like for 90 minutes. And then the benefit is you don't have to play Mo Salah away in PSV in a tie that doesn't matter. But I think he's constantly aware of the threat that Bournemouth pose, and he'll want the best players that we have available for that. And like you said, with the next sort of few weeks now, the games are coming thick and fast, and there is a little break. Is it the weekend of like the 8th and 9th for some other teams, because it's the FA Cup weekend as well. Obviously, we're playing in that, so again, he may take that as another opportunity for a little rest and a little rotate. But again, he's going to be taking every cup competition seriously. So I can't imagine that he'll do the wholesale rotation for someone like Plymouth as he did for PSV. But I'm excited to see us against Bournemouth, because I think it's going to be a real battle and a game of attrition. And I don't think on paper it's easy ever to go down there, because it's a small, intimate stadium. It's intense, and their fans back them to high heaven. But I think with the quality we've got, with the rest and rotation that we've afforded ourselves to have due to how well we've played in the Champions League, and on the fact that it's another game where the lads below you are looking up and seeing what you're doing. And if you can get a result against a team like Bournemouth away after the results they've just had, yeah, you're going to be draining optimism, and you're going to be putting yourself in a good position moving forward.
Putting ourselves in a good position is the thing this weekend, isn't it, Mike? Because we play first. Like Ali said before, it's a bit of a surprise that this one's not on telly. I think if they'd have picked on Wednesday just before, they'd have maybe sort of gone for this one, because sometimes games, become bigger the nearer they get, and Bournemouth's results probably since this fixture was announced as maybe a bit of a surprise to a few people, including maybe a few Bournemouth fans. I don't know, but the fact that it is 3 o'clock means we play first. And listen, there's two ways of looking at it, and those sorts of things, and you'll have it both ways throughout the season. But this weekend, with the game that it is on Sunday, with the fact that it's City Arsenal, I think it's a nice one to play first, really, because if they can get a win, and it's a win where Arsenal fans and whoever doesn't want us to win the league will be looking at it thinking, that's a potential one for Liverpool to drop points. If we can win it and make it 9 points clear before they've kicked the ball on Sunday, I think that's a really, really, really big statement to make.
Yeah, nail on the head there. You'd have if it was, put it this way, if it was Arsenal playing Bournemouth and we had a different game on the Sunday, you'd be thinking, well, I'll tell you what, wouldn't fancy Bournemouth.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a case where they'll all have everything crossed that it's a draw at least, or maybe a Bournemouth win. But this is what the business ends of the season should always be. Like these games should mean that we go there and put our performance in. Whether we're before or after doesn't matter really in the grand scheme of things, but the fact that they've got City this weekend is the one where if you go and then take points from a place where they had you down as dropping 1 or 3, 2 or 3, it's definitely a energy sapping. Oh, they've won that, and we're 9 behind, and they've got a game in hand, and we play City tomorrow, and we've got to win. There's no if, buts, or maybes about it. Then we've got to go to Anfield. I think that's in May that Arsenal will be looking at. It's sort of a little bit too far down the road for them, thinking, but we want these points back ASAP to put more pressure on. If Liverpool just keep doing what they're doing, then the road's going to end up running out, and for us that's our job. We've got to now go and really know that Bournemouth are going to be a tough test, but no disrespect to Bournemouth, there's being in good form, and there's being top of the Champions League, top of the league, on the verge of potentially putting yourself in a cup final with a home leg, even though you've got a deficit to overturn. This is what this squad were doing last year, and yet we fell away a little bit in the April-May time sort of thing with a fairly obvious reason of the injuries just taking its toll on the whole squad, the tiredness. This is a fresh Liverpool, with just as much of a good position now than we ever thought we could have, and what we should be the ones that are setting the pace and thinking, no, yeah, we go and take care of our business. You've got it. We're setting the pace of this treadmill. You've got to keep on it, and if you can't, then see you later.
I saw a really good comment from one of these shows on a couple of weeks ago where they were talking about seasons gone past, and it was like, your heart would think Liverpool were going to win the league, but when your head's kind of like, it's probably going to be City because they normally do. Whereas it sort of feels like the opposite this season, doesn't it, Abby? And I thought that was a really good point. And you can talk yourself out a bit because it means so much, but then when you look at it logically, you think, well, Liverpool are the strongest favourites, and that's not to say that they won't, but they just look so determined at the moment. And I think, we'll be so focused, and like Mike says, fresh going into this. I can't wait. Sorry, that's Lisa's building. I got the question out.
Yeah. Do you know what? I still have that horrible thing in my mind of how many times we've fallen short, and I know that's me
This
being
is in your
so
head.
negative. It's in my head. And if I actually rationalise it and I put all the games down, and I'm like that Arsenal fan on Twitter who decided, did you see that? He put like all the schedules down. He coloured them all in red, orange, and green, and he decided how the results were going to go. And if I do that, I can rationalise how we're going to win it. But there's still always that constant doubt, and obviously Man City are out of it, but my anxiety says to me, they'll go on and win every single game now, Abigail. You can't start thinking that they're out of it at all. And you can see some weaknesses in Arsenal. You can see weaknesses in there, and obviously they're desperate for a striker. Really, they're putting in a bid for Ollie Watkins there, and I think if they do get the likes of Ollie Watkins for goal scoring ability, I think that does strengthen them up going on for the rest of the season. That is a concern to me, considering we've not made any business there, and I think Jota being so injured, I think you need more goals than just from Mo Salah. You know, I mean, it's great that there's the likes of Szoboszlai in the midfield that can come forward and do that for us, but that's where I start to get doubt. But you can rationalise it. The thing is, last weekend when we won and then Arsenal won, I felt a little bit deflated after, to be honest, because we conceded a goal against Ipswich, and then you check the score and Arsenal have won against Wolves when they were down to 10 men. I was thinking, right, okay, this is where they can drop points, and it just doesn't happen. And I felt deflated, but I don't know why, because it's one game down. There's less games there, and we've carried on, and we can only do what we can do. Basically, we can only win our games, and I have to just keep that in my mind. But no matter what, there's always that Liverpool fan in you that's been up against City all those times and feels as though that maybe we will get a little bit leggy. At times last season, I was convinced that in Klopp's last season, maybe we would do more, maybe we could. Just the whole story and the fantasy around it of us being able to do it. And it felt really deflating at the end to finish third in that season for him and to just walk away with a carry ball. But if you'd have said at the beginning of the season, right, this is what Slot's going to bring to you and this is where you'll be in January, you'd have absolutely snatched their hand off 1,000,000%. There's not much more we could ask for, and even in terms of results, dropping points against Man United did me head in, but usually you take 4 points against Man United this season. It's just that feeling in you of you've got to win absolutely every game, but there is opportunity to slip up a little bit. You can't see Arsenal aren't going to lose another game this season, but there's just that stress around it still for me. I mean, you may as well just enjoy it, but I'm still stressing.
I think it's also a testament to the quality of the Premier League, because when we were going up against City sort of 3, 4, 5 years ago across the Klopp reign, if they were going away to Bournemouth on a Saturday afternoon, you'd be like, well, that's boxed off. City have won that. Yeah, we'll deal with our business and then we'll focus on it. Who have we got the week after? Whereas the quality of the Premier League now is we're going up against Bournemouth and we're talking and we're praising Bournemouth rightly because they're a serious outfit and they're playing really well this season and they're upsetting teams. And it's the same with Arsenal against Wolves last week. Yes, I know they went down to 10 men, but you're thinking Wolves could do something here. And they've been sort of lingering around sort of the bottom 5 of the Premier League for most of the season. So I think that's probably just the sceptical, like we're all slightly sceptical because we're Liverpool fans, because we think we have to win every game and we know that City never used to in that scenario. Whereas now, as you said, there is a world where Arsenal could win every game to the end of the season, but there's a world they could lose the next 3. And that's just because of the quality we have in the Premier League now. And I think that's something for us as fans to be aware of, that, yeah, do you know what? We have to take it a game at a time, and you can't win every single game in the Premier League. It just doesn't happen. But it's also not forgetting that we're dead good. We're really, really good, and we seem to just be gently getting better and better, and everything seems to be gelling more and more. So take that confidence, but also be aware that there are a lot of games coming up, and that's okay to realise that sometimes. I think we're romantics in football, but sometimes you've got to be a bit cynical and go, do you know what? Bournemouth away is a really tough place to go, and it is now. But actually, we are so equipped, we are so well rested, we are so good. Everyone's playing well. Predominantly, why are we so sceptical? And it is just the Man City thing. But again, it's now across the Premier League. So, do you know what? Let's go. Let's go 3 o'clock on Saturday. Let's go and have it. Let's become that frustrating, annoying team that City were to us, and let them all react.
So 2 league games away next. I mean, there's a decent gap between them, to be fair, so I don't want to get too far ahead or too overviewy, but if we discount the cup games, we're away at Bournemouth Saturday, and then Wednesday the 12th of February away at Everton. Would you take 4 points, Mike, if I offered you now?
Yeah.
I would as well.
All day, because they're getting to a point where the road is running out, and they need us to not pick these points up. They need us to have 3 out of them 6.
Yeah.
Absolute minimum for them to think, right, we can talk ourselves back into it here. You take 4 and know that one of their opponents in that time we're playing, as well as Man City, there's probably a greater than 50% chance Arsenal will also drop points. Absolutely take 4 points if you're offering them right now.
Abby, you taking 4?
I think if you could guarantee me Arsenal drop points this weekend.
No, I can't. I can't do that, Abby.
If you can guarantee that for me, then I'll take 4. If not, no. I hate saying it because
you're in your own head, aren't you?
I know, I'm in my own head. I can just see it all. It'll go down to I'm just calculating how the points would go down and how Arsenal could possibly close that gap smaller, where I don't sleep at night, basically. So, yes, but I wanna win against Bournemouth, just so we've done that. So Arsenal have got that in their heads that we've done that, and then I'll take a draw at Goodson Park.
Are you taking 4, Ali?
Yeah, I'd take 4 because the Everton game is our game in hand, isn't it? So that would be an extra point onto it. So what that would affect, the gap would effectively, if Arsenal win their next games, the gap would be 7. So yeah, I'd take 4 every day.
Okay, there you go. I'm taking 4 as well. I think it puts us in a fantastic position, and we are, no matter what Abby's brain keeps telling, in a wonderful position. Listen, obviously we put this out for free. We've merged it with a bit of pre-match warm-up, but there will be loads more looking ahead to the Liverpool-Bournemouth game. So press conference extra hosted by the handsome Andy Heaton across the table from me at the moment, going from producer to host. He's all action. He's dynamic. He's a triple threat.
He looks it.
He's looking at me like, what on earth are you on about, lad? Press conference extra, one of the best shows we do at the moment. I never miss it. I absolutely love it. So that'll be out tomorrow. You'll have Josh Sexton. I always combine his names, shove them together in my head. Josh Sexton, Mr. Hyatt himself doing the team talk tomorrow. You'll have a fantastic, I'm sure, Friday night, which will be out tonight. So Thursday night on YouTube for free. They're doing that in the Vernon just across town. I'm sure that'll be all about Bournemouth. I'm sure there'll be very little sort of on last night, looking ahead to that as well. And there'll be other stuff going out on the Anfield Wrap as well. I know Neil is having a conversation with Rory Smith, which is always really popular. And then straight after the game, on Saturday, from pubs around Liverpool, post-match reaction to what we're all hoping is a big Liverpool win to set us 9 points clear. So a fantastic time to subscribe. Do get stuck in, do get involved, download the app, and you get some tokens and you can enjoy that. But yeah, it's a really exciting end to the season. I don't think we're buying anyone, to be honest with you, but there's a gutter tomorrow as well. So you can sort of talk about who we might be buying in the summer and who might be going out on loan and whatever Neil decides to do that. So, but yeah, get stuck in. It's a great time to subscribe. And also, like I said before, thanks to Green King, but it does mean this spot is open. So if anyone out there themselves or knows anyone who you think might want to sponsor the fantastic Midweek Extra show, we do loads of extra stuff for people, for partners. We really enjoy working with you guys, and speaking to Liverpool fans on your behalf. I can throw in Mike Kearney's image rights if you want. I'm sure he's allowed that. So yeah, get in touch with me, John at theanfieldwrap.com, if you're interested in taking up the sponsorship of this show. But I think that's everything. Thanks a lot to Abby. Thanks a lot to Ali. Thanks a lot to Mike Kearney. Up to it.